What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video with Ivan the Sign Guy. Today I'm going to share my 5 biggest headaches when it comes to running my sign company. Also, the solutions that I've implemented for each of these headaches that have helped me so far. Although this is specifically to my sign company, I'm sure this could be relatable to any business owner out there. So with that, let's get on to the video. Alright guys, so for headache number 1, I have one word: cash flow. What do I mean? Depending on your business, you may have a negative cash flow cycle. So, what does that exactly mean? Essentially, that is when you produce a product or a service for a customer and the customer pays in 30 to 60 days. However, you have to pay the materials, the labor, and maybe any contract installation 15 to 30 days in advance, therefore giving you a negative cash flow. So, the solution. Unfortunately, there's not an added pill that you can take to cure this headache. And so what can you do? So these are the 3 things that I've implemented in my business to mitigate cash flow problems. Alrighty, so solution number 1 is actually very simple. All you gotta do is reach out to your prominent vendors and suppliers and ask them if they're able to better your terms. So in my experience, I reached out to a couple of them and was able to get one of them from 15-day collections to 30 days, another one from 30 to 45. Although it's not, the 60 days a lot of my bigger customers are paying me in, it is a lot better than it was before, and I am closing that gap and getting my cash inflows and cash outflows as equal as possible so that I can avoid any negative cash flow gap. Solution number 2. I have looked at different ways in being able to invoice my customers earlier, meaning once my product is ready to ship, for example, or ready to be installed, I invoice the job. Whereas before, I wouldn't invoice the job until after the installation. And so that, as you can see, is a big problem. Why? There was a lot of customers that would take their time when it comes to, let's do it next week or following week, or that's not gonna work. And so that is just having a project sit in my shelves, which have the risk of getting damaged, and also, again, extending my negative cash flow gap. And so when you simply say and communicate this to your customers that once the sign, in my case, or your product is ready to ship or be installed, you invoice the job. So again, that's all about communication, and that's solution number 2. All right, for solution number 3, one of the things I started doing is started collecting a 50% deposit before I continue and start the job. This is something that's already normal, and a lot of people are doing it, but if you aren't doing it, make sure you're doing it. Initially, I thought it was a sales tactic to be able to go to a customer and say, hey, you don't have to pay us until we finish. However, I found that this is actually a mistake, and so I quickly had to change that tactic and have seen little to no sales differences. Whereas before I thought, I'm going to get a lot of sales by being able to withstand that negative cash flow. However, when I changed it to the 50% deposit, I saw, again, little to no change in my sales efforts. So that's good news, obviously. So those are the solutions that I've come up with to combat my negative cash flow. So far, it's been helpful. But again, if you guys have implemented anything that has helped your business that maybe you want to share down in the comments below, please do so. I'm sure I'd love to communicate and see what kind of tactics or strategies you're implementing to better and mitigate this cash flow problem that a lot of small business seems to have. So again, if you have any recommendations, any tactics that you would love to share, please drop those in the comments below, as I know I will get value, and maybe any viewers watching this video. Alrighty, so headache number 2, communication. What do I mean? It's very simple. Literally, having poor communications throughout perhaps, the estimating process, the manufacturing process, and the installation process. So in order, quick example, I'll start. You start a project, you communicate that it'll be done in 7 to 10 business days. However, you forget to mention that the timing of that starts once the deposit is received and once maybe the digital proof is approved. This may cause anger and maybe confusion with your customer, and worst case, maybe even lose your customer. For this, I really only implemented one solution to alleviate this headache, which has been essentially creating a better communications process. It's simple. For example, one of the things I've done is I created a template that I attach to my emails and to my quotes and proofs. And I'm gonna have to send these quotes and proofs anyway, and at the very bottom I have the disclaimer, 7 to 10 business days in this example, once the project is approved. And that has avoided a lot of headaches and a lot of confusion with any of my customers. And this is just one quick example that will help you remember, cover your butt should you face communications problem like this. You simply say, did you see the email that did you see the note, the disclaimer below the quote, below the proof? I kind of mentioned it on there. Sorry that I forgot to mention it verbally. However, we're gonna put our best foot forward to make sure we can install this or deliver this as soon as possible. Alrighty, so headache number 3, hiring. Right now, if you're a business owner, you've probably been fairly frustrated when it comes to hiring. Everybody is hiring and nobody wants to work. I'm not going to get into the politics here, side of things here, but as a business owner, it has been tough attracting talent, and when you are competing with essentially the government in this case for labor. So the solution that I've implemented in my business when it comes to hiring is very simple. I've taken the opposite approach and focus on retaining. So what do I mean? You gotta make sure you're treating your current employees as best as you can and focusing on the ones you have rather than the ones you don't have. Because they can simply, decide to get on that unemployment line and leave you. And you want to make sure you're treating them fairly, paying them fairly, giving them PTO, and again, making sure that they stick around. Especially when you're a small business, you can't afford them to leave and go for stand in the unemployment line. So that's my quick tip there. Another thing that I've done, I've made sure to add additional responsibility to my employees. This has been great for them as they've been taking more responsibility and therefore more compensation. I've also looked at increasing benefits, giving them flexible work schedules perhaps, and just trying to accommodate to their needs to make sure that I retain my current employees and that they are happy working at my company. So far, this has actually been great for us. There was a hire I thought we needed to make, but as we split up responsibilities, we were able to compensate a couple of our employees a little bit more, spread that responsibility, and now we don't even need to hire that additional employee, which would have actually been more expensive anyway. So that's just one example on how you got to shift your mind from hiring and being upset about it to really focusing on who you have now, who you need to retain, and not only compensating them more, but looking at how can I add more responsibility to this person to make it worthwhile for them, and also be able to compensate them and provide benefits accordingly. So again, that's just a quick solution that I found. If you guys have any other ideas that you've found to be successful, please let me know. We are a small business and we're always looking to hire, but like I said, right now we are looking to retain the employees and make sure we're all happy and they're happy. Alrighty, so headache number 4, inflation. So what does that mean? That basically means the US dollar is getting weaker because more things are getting more expensive. So I know that's a very basic definition of inflation, but basically that's what it is. Your dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. Labor's more expensive, material, shipping, rent, and a bunch of other operating expenses have now just quadrupled in some cases because of inflation. So that is headache number 4. And the reason materials are more expensive nowadays is because now I'm competing even more so with my competitors to get the vinyl rolls, the aluminum that we need from our local supplier. So it's a simple supply and demand. Supply is low, demand is high, prices go up. So that's been really tough. However, we do have a solution. What we've put in place so far is actually double down on our supplier relationships, and now we're actually comparing prices amongst them and essentially picking the lowest one. We found that it's been very difficult to try to even negotiate with your long-lasting suppliers that you've had. So the way we've combated this is by adding more suppliers with the same products and essentially picking the lowest of the bunch. Although pricing is higher than ever before, we are still taking this initiative to get the lowest pricing that we can. I'm curious, what kind of strategies or tactics have you guys put in place to combat, inflation? I'm curious, are you guys even dealing with this problem in your industries? Leave them in the comments below. I'd love to start a conversation and learn from you guys, and hopefully we get some value out of each other. Alrighty, last but not least, headache number 5. Sales and marketing. As a small business owner, you oftentimes, most of the time, you probably wear so many different hats, and sales and marketing probably gets tucked away as you deal with the operating your business. This has been tough for my company, but it's also important to realize that sales and marketing is something that needs to be ongoing in order to succeed. So one of the things that we've done in terms of marketing is downloading Canva.com. This is not a sponsorship or anything, but if you haven't heard of them, look them up. I suggest you look them up and implement this in your business as soon as you can. I put down the link in the description if you guys are interested in checking that out. It is a great program essentially that allows you to create simple, clean designs for, I believe it's $12 per month. So very affordable, and it makes you look like you have a $500,000 design team on your payroll. As far as sales, you need to create a sales system and make sure you schedule at least an hour or time out of your week to focus on sales. For example, I focus my mornings now 1 to 2 hours a day, essentially cold calling, designing new sales booklets, so not necessarily interacting with customers, but literally working on my sales strategy, my sales material. Cold emailing is another thing that I've been doing, and reaching out to your current base of customers and just seeing how they're doing and asking do you know questions. For example, hey, for in my case, we deal with a lot of signage, like I said, and sometimes we sell to one customer, for example, the yard signs, and they don't sometimes know that we sell basically everything else. So basically calling your point of contact there and saying, hey, did you know we also sell banners? I'd love to help. Should you need it, give us a shot. I'd love that opportunity. Now that alone, that is considered a sales call in my book, and doing that at least 1 or 2 customers a day, it actually leads to a lot of new sales. So that's always great, focusing on your current customers. So that is it, guys. Those are my 5 headaches: cash flow problems, communication, hiring, inflation, and sales and marketing. What do you guys think? Are you guys facing the same issues? I'd be interested. Are we on the same boat here as small business owners? Or what headaches are you guys facing in your businesses? I'd love again to start a dialogue and learn from you, and hopefully we all get value out of talking to each other in the comment section below. So with that, make sure you guys subscribe and like my video for more awesome content. Peace.